Hey, and welcome back to my channel. We're back with another book review. So this week, or this video, we're going to talk about One of Us is Lying by Karen M. Mcmanus. So this book came out in, I think, 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And it was made into no, this book came out in 2017. I was off. I was wrong. Sorry. And it was made into a TV series in 2021, I believe. So, I haven't watched the TV series. And obviously, if something's, well, usually, Bridgerton is kind of the exception to that. I've kind of started watching Bridgerton, haven't read any of the books. And now I want to read the books. And I'm probably going to get angry when I read the books and realize how far the show has strayed from the books. But anyhow, I'm always somebody who likes to read the book before watching the movie, the TV show. And I've heard a lot about this book. I think it went viral. People were talking about it. I think they were like raving about it, talking about how good it was. And I read it, and I have some thoughts. And this is going to be a spoiler-free review. So if you want to read more, you can go to my website, beautifullyfearless.com. It has a link for my blog in there, and you can read my blog. And there I kind of go into more detail. I don't want to say go into my real thoughts, but it gets a little bit deeper than just surface level. Video reviews, I try not to be super specific. I try to be very vague so I don't spoil it for anybody. So let's go ahead and read the back and then we will talk about it. So it says, "Pay close attention and you might solve this. On Monday afternoon, 5 students at Bayview High walk into detention. Bronwyn, the brain, is Yale-bound and never breaks a rule. Addie, the beauty, is the picture-perfect homecoming princess. Nate, the criminal, is already on probation for dealing. Cooper, the athlete, is the all-star baseball pitcher. And Simon, the outcast, is the creator of Bayview High's notorious gossip app. Only, Simon never makes it out of that classroom. Before the end of detention, Simon's dead, and according to investigators, his death isn't an accident. On Monday, he died. But on Tuesday, he'd planned to post juicy reveals about all 4 of his high-profile classmates, which makes all 4 of them suspects in his murder. Or are they just the perfect patsies for a killer who's still on the loose? Everyone has secrets, right? What really matters is how far you would go to protect them." So this book, it also says, contains a book club discussion guide and an interview with Karen M. Mcmanus. It's about these 5 kids that go into detention. There's kind of some mysterious circumstances regarding them going into detention. They're in detention with a teacher called Mr. Avery, and basically this is a teacher who hates cell phones, and he will actually go through every student's backpack and find the cell phone and take it at the beginning of class. And obviously, I think if he finds it, he'll give them detention, something like that. I don't really remember. I'm not gonna look at it anyway. Does it have music to it? No, it doesn't. Anyway, so what had happened was all 5 of these kids got caught with a phone in one of Mr. Avery's classes. Now he's a teacher at this high school. They're not all 5 in the same class, so he teaches, I think, science, different kind of sciences. So they were all in one of his classes, all got caught with a phone, and they got detention. Okay. The problem is that it wasn't their phone. It was like a burner phone, or it was like another, like basically somebody had put a phone in all of these kids' backpacks so they would get caught and get detention together. And they several of them try to be like, that's not my phone. Like, I have my phone. They have to like not show him because he'll actually take their phone. But like, they're like, that isn't even my phone though. Like, I don't know how that got in my backpack. Which, of course, if you are in high school, around high school, have been to high school, have heard about high school, you all know that that's a classic high school excuse, right? I'm just holding it for somebody, right? It's not mine. It's not mine. I'm just holding it for somebody. I'm just keeping it for somebody. So it's not a wonder why he didn't believe them, and obviously just took the phones, gave them detention. So what happens to Simon? Okay. And this is, I'm not spoiling this because it says that he doesn't make it out of the classroom, and it does say that Simon dies. So what happens is Simon is terribly allergic to peanuts. And he goes to drink a glass of water out of he goes to drink some water in the classroom out of this sink. Okay, he gets like a cup, fills it up with water, and somehow like peanut oil gets in the water, I guess. And he's telling them to, you know, find his EpiPen. They're all like surrounding him. They're all like, oh my gosh, like how can we help you? And he's like, get my EpiPen. And I think it's Cooper. It's either Cooper or Nate that says, you know, you need an EpiPen, or sends one of the girls to the nurse's office to look for EpiPens, because obviously they would have, that's a pretty common thing to have for an allergic reaction. But that's actually how he dies. So they call paramedics and everything, but it's been too late. They do get help for him. They try to save him. The whole school, you know, tries to save him, all this stuff. You know, they call authorities and all that, and you know, he ends up passing away, which is terribly unfortunate and a very bizarre way to kill somebody. I just have to say, like, that's just peanut oil. I mean, you'd have to have a really severe allergy, and I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to diminish it at all, because I know peanuts, that's a big allergy thing, but I don't know a lot of people who have passed from allergic reactions, so it was an interesting way for him to go, let's just say that. And so then the suspicion is on, okay, who put the peanut oil in his water? Basically, who poisoned him? You know, the kids went through his backpack. They couldn't find his EpiPen where he said that it was supposed to be. There was no EpiPens in the nurse's office. Like, all the EpiPens just suddenly like disappeared, like it's some conspiracy, which it kind of, you know, in a way, maybe. It's the book is okay. I think the idea and the plot is very good. You're taking, for me, it's kind of a twist on the cult classic movie, The Breakfast Club, which if you haven't seen The Breakfast Club, I don't care how old you are, as long as you're a teenager, like I don't care what generation you come from, whether you were born in the 80s, you were a teenager in the 80s, whatever, you need to go watch The Breakfast Club, okay? It's not something that I would let like 7 or 8 year olds watch, although I don't think it's terrible for them. They just wouldn't relate to it and get it the way a teenager would. It's a really, really good movie. This is kind of takes that, but then adds kind of a murder twist. So The Breakfast Club is a movie about 5 kids who get detention, and they're the brain, the beauty, the criminal, the athlete, the outcast, and they all become friends, and then they become the Breakfast Club because they're in detention on a Saturday morning and they don't really want to be there. It's a good movie. You should watch it. But I think, you know, to have a murder mystery with that, it's very clever. I think pretty well written. I will say that I had a hard time getting into this book. I had a hard time sticking with this book. I did not want to finish this book. I did not want to read this book. I was bored. I wanted to be done with it. At a certain point, you do kind of get into it, but there's 30 chapters plus an epilogue. But they have, in the chapters, you'll go from, like, this is Addie's point of view, right? But this is not the beginning of the chapter. So you start the chapter at one person's point of view, and it kind of goes through, I wouldn't say it goes through all of them, but it goes through several kids' point of view. So see, chapter 11, you start on Nate's point of view, and then you go to Addie, and it's just throughout the chapters, there's all these different points of view. Sometimes it's hard to remember who you're reading about. It does give you interesting insight, and they do paint it to be like these kids have secrets, and what are they, and they do kind of plant clues like that. This is very misleading, though. Pay close attention and you might solve the case. Because, listen, I wrote down so many things that I thought could be. I watch true crime, okay? I watch a lot of true crime. So I'm like noting things that make me suspicious. I'm like noting stuff like Cooper, who talks with an accent when he's nervous. And there were certain times when he spoke with an accent when it was kind of like, why would you be nervous? And then, you know, there are people that cheat on their significant others. There are significant others who used to be friends with people and now they're not. And, you know, there's a lot of things. And I don't want to, you know, ruin it. But right before Simon did this, like, he got the glass of water in his hands, and the school that they're at has like windows next to it, and they're facing the parking lot. Well, there was a big car accident which got everybody's attention, so they were all focused on looking outside, and nobody, well, basically the theory throughout the whole book is that somebody could have snuck in and put the peanut oil in his water. Like, how he wouldn't notice that, I don't know, So then it's like, was it already in the water? Was it in the cup? Was it all of these different things? And it's just, the buildup throughout the book is pretty good. But when it's finally revealed, like which one was lying and who done it and how things went down, it's a severe letdown. Like, I think it's clever and I think it's well written, but it's boring. It's boring to me. Like I said, I didn't enjoy this book. I didn't. It was boring. And maybe it's because there's not a whole lot of romance in it, which I love romances. I don't know. I'm all about like a murder mystery, but by the time you get to where they actually reveal like what happened, I'm sitting here like, I wrote down all of these things that I thought were clues that weren't actually, that have nothing to do with anything. So them saying like pay close attention, there is a certain part, if you pay real close attention, you could pick up on it, but it's just like one tiny little section. And it's mentioned like several times, but you'd have to really like, for a murder mystery, it's twisty, it's turny, the result isn't what you thought that it was going to be. I don't know what else to say. Like, I feel like the book is well written, it's just the content is boring to me. I don't feel like it was poorly written. I think it's done okay. I will say that when I was doing my blog post, I actually looked up the names of the characters because I wanted to make sure, because when you go through like the points of view, they just have like their last name, right? They don't have, like, it's Addie Prentice and like Cooper Clay. They don't have their full names, so I had to Google their full names. And what came up was the TV show, and it showed me the cast of the TV show, and I'm like, sure, okay. For the TV show, so not the book, the TV show. And they changed a couple of characters, which I'm totally like, most of the time I'm fine with. But they changed Mr. Avery to Ms. Avery, and I feel like that breaks the integrity of the book. And for me, already, in my mind, I'm kind of like, okay, so you number one, you changed one of the characters of the book. One of the kind of important characters, like the catalyst of everything happening, right? Because he's the one that took the phones, right? So if he hadn't taken the phones, they wouldn't have ended up in detention, right? Now, I'm not going to say if he's the one that planted the phones or not. That's for you to read the book if you really want to know. But, you know, he's kind of the catalyst for all of this to happen, right? So kind of a big character. And for me to change that to a female, I'm just like, I don't know. You know, I feel like it's easier to hate a male teacher than a female teacher. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. But his characteristics were definitely more on the masculine side, and I feel like I can see that character better as a male. And I'm reading the book, and like I said, I just saw that, and immediately I'm just like, here we go. And I know that if you know anything about TV and books and things like that, they don't usually stick like by the book or by, you know, the comic book exactly when they do TV shows and movies. They change, you know, subtle things so it's slightly different because they figure it'll be better for the viewer or it'll be easier for the viewer, things like that. They make it basically more enjoyable theatrically. They make it more theatrical, more, right? So they don't always stick exactly to the original of what it was, especially when you're taking it from a book, which is usually fine. You know, like I said, I know Bridgerton has strayed so far from the book series, and there are people who are outraged about that. But that's why they usually say like based on this book series or based on this book instead of, or inspired by this book rather than this is the movie version of that book, because then you can say, okay, it's based on this, but then they've added their own things, kind of changed things, made it a little bit more cohesive, made things work a little bit better on the big screen, the movie screen. But I just didn't like that. I didn't like that. And I didn't like that. I think the rest of them, I think they were okay. There were a couple characters that I was looking for that I couldn't find. And there was one in there who I was sitting here like, who is she? Like, I don't remember her like at all. Maybe she was mentioned once, maybe twice in the book. So I'm like, why is she listed in the cast? Like, who is she? And maybe she, you know, maybe that's not the only thing that they changed as far as the Avery character. But I've never seen the TV show. This is not a review on the TV show. This is a review on the book. y'all, it's okay. I mean, if you like murder mysteries, you may enjoy this. And I know a lot of people read this and where they were like, obviously people liked it because they made it into a TV show. I do think that this, I can see the cohesiveness as far as making this into a TV show. You get all the points of view from like the different characters so that you know, like, and it gives like specific date and time. So like it says Bronwyn, Sunday, September 3rd, 3:07 p.m. I'm kind of like, listen, I could barely keep track of like who I was reading about, let alone the date and the time, you know. And maybe you can, I don't know. I mean, unless you're like taking notes, but even then it's not going to matter. Like the end was very lackluster for me. This whole book was lackluster. I don't know if I will read the next one. I probably will because I gotta know what happens in the next one. And I will say, they did include extras, you know, like the book club discussion, an interview with Karen Mcmanus. They also include a preview of the next book, which is One of Us is Next, or One of Us is Back, which I didn't read. And Two Can Keep a Secret, which I don't really know what that is, like some of her other books, I guess. I mean, you know, One of Us is Next, yeah, so that's the next book, One of Us is Next. So there's a couple of books in this series. You know, I don't really know what else to say. Like, the characters are well developed. I feel like for the most part they're high school kids. So as well developed as high school kids can be. You know, high school kids are very fickle and they're very like moody and pretentious. They just are, and they're immature. So you can't expect them to be like adult characters. I will say that some of the adults really annoy me. Like Cooper's dad. Number one, Cooper's dad pushes him to play baseball. Right? He's like his biggest fan. He calls him Cooperstown, and wants him to go to college and go in the major leagues. And he's just all about the baseball and all, you know, basically all Cooper is baseball. And that really, I wanted to throat punch that dude, like throughout most of the book, but not as much as I wanted to throat punch Nate's parents. But anyway, you know, I think there's probably enough characters in here that if you read this, you'll probably relate to, you know, one or two of them. There's kind of somebody for everybody. Like I said, it's a little close to The Breakfast Club. It does have a nice twist on it, but it doesn't quite meet the standard of The Breakfast Club. Like, while I was reading this, you know, Addie is like, what's her name's character? The one who was in all the teen movies in the 80s. Molly Ringwald? Is that what her name is? I kept picturing her and, like, you know, just some of these, you know, there's some really funny moments in here. There are some moments where it's high school drama is what it is. Now, Simon dying, that's not drama. Like, obviously that's very serious, but as far as like people cheating on other people and rumors about this person with this person, and Simon's little gossip app where he posts stuff that he hears or finds out, and everybody's like, how did he find out about this? You know, I don't know. I didn't go to a public high school, so I can't relate to a lot of that, but maybe you can. And maybe that's why I didn't like it as much. Maybe I wasn't as into it, but this book I'm going to have to rate a 3 out of 5. It's not poorly written. It was just not super interesting for me. Reading about some of the guys and their sports, or like drug dealing with Nate, or you know, Bronwyn and her rich parents trying to get her into Yale, and you know, doing all of this. Like some of them are very, very high class, and then some of them are on the lower end of the income spectrum, like Nate. And it really makes you feel for some of these characters. I don't know. I rated it a 3 out of 5. It wasn't the best book I've ever read, and will I read it again? I don't know, because that's the thing with murder mysteries. Once you read it and once you find out who done it, how can you read it again? You already know the end. You already know. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it, without spoiling too much. I think I talked about some parts of the book, but nothing of what I talked about really spoils it for you. None of those things matter. I tried so hard, I got so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter. So, let me know if you've read this book, and let me know if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you're welcome to disagree with me. Just be polite and be kind to other people in the comments. You know, I do want to know your opinion. Like, especially if you really liked this book, I want to, please put, like, if you liked it, put that you liked it, and put why, like, put your reason, because that might help me see something different about this book. So, I don't know if I'll give this book another chance or not, you know, read it again and see if it sparks with me, because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like this video if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video, because you never know what kind of content is going to pop up over here on this channel. I thank you all so much for watching. I love you all very, very much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!